There's nothing more exciting than going through your grandparents' stuff when you're bored. At least that's what the main character of our story thought. Once upon a time in a big city, there lived a young lad named Jason. He was a curious boy with a thirst for adventure. His parents were too busy with work to pay much attention to him, so they sent him to his grandparents' house for the weekend. "Behave yourself," said his mom, kissing him on the cheek. "Don't cause any trouble," added his dad, handing him a bag of chips. And off they went, leaving Jason with a bunch of boring books about manners and table setting. "Oof," Jason complained, throwing the books onto the sofa. "I'm going to find something more interesting to do." He began rummaging around the house, looking for some fun. But everything seemed so dull until he heard a strange sound coming from the attic. Curiosity piqued. Jason slowly climbed up the attic stairs. The air grew colder and darker as he ascended. As he stepped onto the landing, he saw an old, dusty camera lying in the corner. It had a leather strap and a small lens. Excited by his discovery, Jason wiped off the dust and examined it closely. Then he remembered his dad mentioning something about that camera. "That was my brother's favorite thing," his dad had said one day. "He loved taking pictures with that camera." Suddenly, Jason felt a shiver down his spine. There was something eerie about this old attic and the camera in his hands. But the boy shook off the strange feeling and took the camera downstairs. "What are you doing?" his grandpa asked. "Playing," Jason replied with a mischievous grin. "Can I take some photos?" Jason asked, holding up the camera. "Sure, why not?" said Grandpa. "But don't touch anything else up there. You never know what you might break," he warned, eyeing the camera suspiciously. Jason nodded and went out into the garden. The sun was shining brightly, and the birds were tweeting merrily. It's perfect weather for a photo shoot. First, he took a picture of the old oak tree where he and his friends liked to play. Then he snapped a photo of the vegetable patch, but noticed something strange. In the picture, there were tomatoes in the patch. But when he looked closely, he realized that those tomatoes weren't ripe yet. They were tiny green balls. Puzzled, Jason decided to take another picture, this time of the clouds in the sky. But when he developed the photo, he saw something shocking. The photo showed a dark, stormy sky filled with rain and lightning, but outside the sun was still shining. Confused and scared, Jason ran back inside. He tried to take a normal picture of the carpet, but when the photo was developed, it showed a pair of muddy footprints. Jason gasped in horror. The camera wasn't taking pictures of what was happening now. It was showing pictures of things that would happen in the future. But how? Why? And most importantly, what would happen next? Terrified, Jason hid the camera in his bag and spent the rest of the day playing inside. He didn't want to see any more pictures, but the camera had other plans. In the middle of the night, Jason woke up to loud banging on his window. He sat up in bed, his heart pounding. Then he heard a crash, followed by heavy footsteps in the hallway. Peeking over the edge of the bed, he saw a dark figure approaching. Too frightened to move, Jason curled up into a ball and closed his eyes tight. Suddenly, he felt something cold and wet on his face. Opening his eyes, he saw a pair of muddy footprints on his pillow. Quickly, Jason got out of bed and ran to the bathroom. Staring back at him from the mirror was a pair of muddy shoes. They were the same shoes from the photograph. Jason screamed in terror. How could this be possible? Did the camera have some kind of magical powers? What would happen next? Thinking quickly, Jason grabbed his camera and took a picture of the shoes. Then he hid under his bed and waited. In a few moments, he heard footsteps in the hallway again. Someone was definitely out there. Jason held his breath and squeezed his eyes shut. He didn't want to see what came next. But after a while, he peeked over the bed and saw a pair of white footprints on the carpet. Relieved, Jason knew that whoever had been making those muddy footprints wasn't there anymore. Maybe it was just some trick of the light, he thought. But then he remembered the camera. Excited, he ran to the bathroom and developed the photo. On it was a picture of the shoes again, but now they were white, just like the footprints on the carpet. Could the camera somehow change the future? Jason thought. Maybe it was worth trying. He took some more photos of the shoes, hoping that the pictures would show him what was going to happen next. Sure enough, one of the photos showed a pair of white gloves. Intrigued, Jason put on the shoes and went to sleep. The next morning, he woke up early and went to the attic. Why? To his surprise, he found a pair of white gloves waiting for him. They were exactly like in the photograph. Over the next few days, Jason used the camera to take pictures of different objects. And each time he did, the photographs accurately predicted what would happen next. Sometimes it was something small, like a spilled glass of milk or a lost ring. Other times it was something bigger, like a broken vase or a lost cat. The camera seemed to be able to predict anything. Jason kept all the photos in a secret album. No one else knew about the camera or its strange powers, and he was determined to keep it that way. He was afraid that if anyone else knew about the camera, they would try to use it for their own benefit. But Jason had a change of heart when he learned that his friend's little sister was sick. He took a photo of her, and it showed her getting well soon. Excited, Jason took the photo to the hospital and gave it to the doctors. At first, they laughed at him, but then they agreed to try anything to save the girl's life. And wouldn't you know it, she recovered almost immediately. Soon everyone was talking about the miracle at the hospital, and Jason became a local hero. But he knew it was the camera that deserved the credit. He realized that he couldn't keep such a powerful tool a secret anymore. He had to share it with the world. So Jason decided to become a photographer and use his skills to help others. With a camera by his side, he traveled the world, taking photos of people in need and always predicting what would happen next. He helped reunite families, solve mysteries, and even prevent disasters. Along the way, he made many friends and changed countless lives. And though he never forgot the dark secret behind the camera, he knew that he was using it for good. Jason lived a long and happy life, using his gift to make the world a better place one photograph at a time.